Today, I want to open up a bit about my own personal story. A story of a misguided kid, unaware of the harsh realities of the real world, expecting that no matter the input, the output would be given to me. After going to battle with my biggest insecurities, I came to a self-actualization of what needed to be done to achieve my dreams of becoming a doctor. I'll tell you my story on how I got rejected from over 30 dental schools with a 2.9 GPA and eventually turned my life around into a life that's well worth living. It's a story on how I royally screwed up until the last possible moment, and then I pivoted, reaching for the stars, eventually landing into my dream career, graduating from the world-renowned New York University as a doctor of dental surgery. If you're worried about your current future, you're wondering if all of this is even worth the years of education and the large price of tuition, this is for you, my fellow kings and queens. Now, my journey kicks off at Rutgers University in my home state of New Jersey, where I ventured out as an 18-year-old, breaking free from the comforts of my parents' home for the very first time. I love my parents to death, but there's a reason I haven't been home since. Any longer than a day, my mom telling me to do 38 different things for her. Akash, beta, clean your room, walk the dog. Beta, water the front lawn. Mom, we have turf. It's not even real grass. I don't know, I just think there's something about a brown parent seeing their child relax. If you can relate, leave a comment down below. But with Rutgers being over 40 miles away, I found myself in uncharted territory, surrounded by a campus teeming with 40,000 students, known for throwing legendary parties, including the infamous Rutgers Fest. Amidst this whirlwind of social activities, I found myself navigating the rigorous pre-med, pre-dental track with no clear sense of direction or structured guidance. You see, as the years started to roll by, I found myself merely going through the motions, earning a mix of B's and C's, with the occasional A sprinkled in between. As a young college kid, it can be so hard to be future focused. If you are ill-equipped to handle the workload from day one, you will for sure flat out drown. Looking back, I wonder if I went to a smaller private university, I would have been able to get that more intimate, personal level of guidance. It seems that less people fall through the cracks in those environments. But by never achieving my goals, I began to feel hopeless and alone. My dreams slowly started to fade, and I began to lose touch with my aspirations of becoming a doctor. And it was in this moment I recall falling into a serious depression. For me, it was the fear of failure. It would be so extreme that my hands would literally start to be shaking when I had to check my grades. Despite my best efforts to turn things around and adopt a healthier study habit, the damage to my GPA was irreparable by the time my third year rolled around. It was a sobering realization, and I'm sure this happens to a ton of kids who just don't have the support system set up early enough in their academic career to show what they're capable of. But now it was my time to tackle the DAT, or dental admission test. I devised what I believe to be the perfect strategy. I would just hit a perfect score, a 30 out of 30. 100% on the test. I convinced myself that once I got that score, I could explain my poor undergraduate grades during the interview and show my readiness for dental school. In hindsight, that was foolish thinking because I just scored average on the exam. So upon graduation, I achieved a 2.9 science GPA with a 3.1 overall GPA. Considering the average dental school admissions GPA is closer to a 3.5 to 3.7, that's not very good news, guys. Every counselor I asked guidance for told me it's going to be extremely difficult to get accepted anywhere. I felt utterly hopeless about my future. What was I to do with this worthless biology degree if I couldn't use it for higher level education? But it was here that I learned a crucial life lesson. Self-reflection is key. If you're not progressing, you need to critically assess what's holding you back. If you have a good GPA but bad standardized test scores, you have to consider retaking the exam and learning from your previous attempt. If it's a few bad grades, then maybe you consider retaking the class. I considered retaking courses, but my entire undergraduate transcript was plagued with mediocrity, and it was a real reflection of my lack of commitment to becoming a doctor. Now, if it's your GPA that's messed up, we're having an entirely different conversation. They even have master's programs where you can get buddy-buddy with the higher-ups of the schools, and for what I've seen, these programs really work. Sure, they are expensive, but you're going to be a doctor one day, and this extra year or two investment will be nothing to a lifetime of earnings. You have to explore the alternative reality of what if you don't get in? What will you do with your current degree, which is most likely going to be a biology degree? Are you gonna teach high school biology? No, come on. You're better than that. Double down. You got this. If your grades are not where they should be, apply for that postgraduate program. And that's exactly what I did. And as much as I hated myself for putting myself in that position, I knew I didn't want to go through any more schooling. But I quickly realized that that was my ego trying to make me stay in my comfort zone. So I did it. I enrolled in a master's program. They advised me to spend 2 years doing it to ensure I hit the highest grade on every possible class. Me being hard-headed, I was being super defiant, and I attempted to do it in half the time. It was my way of proving to myself that I could conquer any challenge I set my mind to. And let me tell you, my entire life changed forever from this point on. It was far from easy. I isolated myself from my friends and family, almost as a form of self-punishment, convincing myself that I didn't deserve enjoyment when there was work to be done. I went full David Goggins mode, SEAL Team 6, Mamba mentality, Batman versus Bane, giving every ounce of effort to ensure a lifetime of prosperity. I couldn't tell you how many nights I went to sleep crying that year. I watched as my friends moved forward with their dental and medical school journeys, while I feared I might never progress in my own career. I felt like a failure. I felt like the world was against me. I dreaded the thought of settling for just another regular, mundane job. I was a quarter of the way to 100, and at the age of 25, I was thinking I needed to reset my entire life and find purpose elsewhere. But after completing the program in just 1 year, I achieved the grades I aimed for with an impressive 3.9 GPA. It was then that I realized the extent of my capabilities. I understood that with determination and hard work, I could overcome any challenge. I became confident in my ability to handle demanding coursework, recognizing myself as a diligent student who knows how to study effectively. I threw away all those self-limiting beliefs I once imposed on myself. However, despite this achievement, the challenge of gaining acceptance into dental school remained unresolved. While my master's program transcript showcased my academic change-up, I still needed to navigate the application process and land that acceptance. So as December 1st rolled around, I found myself halfway through my master's program, having performed pretty well in my first semester. However, it was also the day when acceptances were released. To my surprise, only 2 schools rejected me out of 35 that day, but they happened to be my top 2 choices, Rutgers and NYU. I cried so much that day, yet a glimmer of hope emerged when I received an interview invitation from Roseman University in Utah just a few months later. 1 out of 35 got back to me with an interview. Feeling desperate yet determined, I seized the opportunity, flying out for my interview and giving it my all. After returning home, I focused on completing the remainder of my master's program. In August, upon receiving my final transcript for the master's program, I quickly submitted it through the application portal to all the schools in a final attempt to secure admission for that cycle. And I will never forget that day. It was a scorching hot day in August that afternoon, and I found myself at my cousin's barbecue. And in the middle of just shotgunning a Bud Light under the hot summer sun, my phone rang with an unknown phone number from Utah. To my astonishment, it was the Dean of Admissions calling to extend a congratulations on my acceptance to dental school. Just 3 days after submitting my master's transcript, I was caught off guard, feeling as if I was going to puke up everything I had just drank. Then he dropped the bombshell. Classes were commencing in just 3 weeks. Get ready, he said. You're going to be a dentist, Dr. Rana. But here's the kicker. I'm now faced with the most daunting decision of my entire life. A dental school granted me admission in mere hours after I submitted these amazing grades this late into the admission cycle. Do I accept my sole offer of 35 applications and start a new chapter of my life in the mountains of Mormon country, far away from my beloved friends and family? Or do I take a monumental risk, the biggest gamble of my entire life, and reject my only acceptance into my dream career and gamble on reapplying next cycle and in the hopes of securing admission to my preferred school? Surely I'm not crazy enough to decline my only opportunity to become a doctor, especially with a 2.9 GPA. But guess what? I did exactly that. I confidently declined because in that moment, I recognized my true value. I had faith in myself. I understood the immense stress I endured that year had molded me into someone far different from what my undergraduate transcript portrayed. I was certain that any dental school admissions committee would appreciate my journey, flaws and all, and would embrace me wholeheartedly. Thus, I waited and waited and waited for the universe to acknowledge my hard work and sacrifices over this past year. I promptly submitted my application in the first week, casting a wide net with a revised personal statement reflecting on my transformative journey. Yet for 2 agonizing months, there was only silence. The stress and anxiety I experienced during that period felt like it aged me 5 years. And then the panic set in. Had I squandered my once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? I had enough. It was time to seize control over my own fate. You see, NYU Dental has always been a dream institution of mine since the start of this journey. The prospect of receiving a doctoral education while living amidst the vibrant streets of Manhattan was a really intoxicating idea to me. Upon a quick Google search, I discovered that NYU was hosting a walking tour of the campus. I thought, oh great, if I just put on a really nice looking suit and show up, I'll probably be able to pitch my case to somebody important. So I tried my absolute best to look as cute as possible, because looking cute gets you really far in life, ladies and gentlemen. So I boarded that train from New Jersey to New York and arrived at the campus. Walking through those majestic glass doors, I approached the receptionist and confidently stated that I was here for the walking tour. To my surprise, she looked puzzled and informed me that there was no tour scheduled for that day. Checking her computer, she confirmed that the tour was actually for the undergraduate campus and not the dental school. Feeling pretty down and embarrassed, I said, oh wow, I had no idea. I feel so silly, but I dressed up and came all this way from New Jersey because I applied here, and is there any way I can still see the campus? And lucky enough for me, one of the admissions counselors was more than grateful to show me around the school. And that was the moment I realized this is my opportunity. As we strolled around the campus, I opened up to this woman, pouring out my heart and soul. Later, we convened in her office, meticulously reviewing my application. I made sure to emphasize the positive changes I had made to demonstrate my readiness for dental school. Leaving on a positive note, I headed back to Penn Station to catch my train home. And this moment is forever etched into my memory. I was walking down 42nd Street in Times Square. The lights and visuals had me daydreaming. Lost in my thoughts, my phone suddenly began to buzz, and it was an unknown number. Answering the call, I heard the admission counselor's voice from NYU on the other end. Hey, is this Akash? It's Emily from NYU. I was just calling to see if you recently checked your emails. We sent you some follow-up instructions on what to do next. Follow-up instructions. Rushing to check my inbox? There it was. Congratulations. You've been offered an interview at NYU's College of Dentistry. My heart dropped and I began to shout into the skies. One of the happiest feelings I've ever experienced, pure euphoria. I thanked her and instantly called my mother. Hearing the excitement in my mother's voice brought me to tears. So fast forward a few weeks later, I eventually had my interview. And it was one of the most unusual interactions I've ever had with another person. But let's fast forward to midnight on November 30th, the day before acceptances are given. I was anxiously searching the SDN forums for updates, hoping for any news. Some schools send acceptances at midnight, but in classic fashion, nothing came my way. I woke up the next morning feeling absolutely miserable. Feeling fed up, I downed 2 scoops of C4 pre-workout and headed to the gym to blow off some steam. As I started walking on the treadmill to warm up my body was buzzing with energy from the beta-alanine in the pre-workout. And suddenly my phone vibrated, and there it was, the acceptance letter in my inbox. I couldn't hold back the tears. They just started flowing uncontrollably, still buzzing from the pre-workout, and I never even started that workout. Driving home, I walked through the front door to find my parents watching TV in the living room. The look on my face made them think something terrible had happened to me. I told them I got into NYU. I said, holding up my phone to show them the acceptance letter. We sat in silence for a few minutes, tears streaming down our faces as we hugged each other. And just like that, one chapter of my life came to a close, with a new one on the horizon. You see, these chapters of my life tell the story of a young kid who made mistakes, but had unwavering faith and perseverance to achieve his goals. This kid, dissatisfied with his life, took fate into his own hands and manifested his dreams into a reality. And here's a little secret just between you and I knew there wasn't a tour at the dental school. I knew it was the undergrad campus the entire time. But I knew that if I just had the opportunity to show them who I am, I would get into the school of my dreams. And that's it. That's the story how I became a doctor of dental surgery with with a 2.9 GPA. Eventually I went on to graduate and I'm now currently making a ton of money working as a dentist in Miami. But that's not the point of this video. I made this video to show you that no matter the odds stacked against you, you have the power to create lasting change in your life. Don't let anyone tell you to settle or convince you that you're not good enough to achieve your dreams. I'm living proof of it, and you're not alone in this journey. You've now seen me speak about the most vulnerable time of my life. And I chose to do this to empower more students around the world to reach their dreams. So if you can, please like, subscribe, and share this video as it truly helps me on this journey. Take care, guys. I'll see you all in the next one.